tell you what we'll do is we'll get started. Is that all right, Counselor, if we come back?
Yeah, you can come back to the approval of minutes.
Thanks. Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Maybe start with a moment of silence like we did before. There's more people here. There's new people here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. Well, I think we have the I guess we should do the April 23rd. We're missing the 3rd. Is that what we're missing?
Correct.
Motion to approve the minutes of April 23rd, 2023.
Who's second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll come back to that. Updates, ballots.
So we have our unofficial list from the Department of State, and we're still waiting on 2 cases. The socialism candidate appealed their removal on 8/23, but nothing has been scheduled yet on that matter. The presidential constitution candidate was removed by the court, and the other constitutional candidates were left on the ballot. And they had until 9/3 to appeal that decision, and I haven't received anything on any of that, so I'm assuming that was yesterday.
Correct.
So I haven't heard anything yet on that. We did start the ballots. If any of these candidates come off, we can remove them. So we just started those yesterday.
Okay. Anything else to update us on the ballots? No?
So,
We'll move on to discussion.
am I dealing with
Okay. All right. Public comment. I'm sure people have something to say. They've been waiting for months. Please. We'll let her go first. Please state your name, please.
Good morning. My name is Beata Jeswick. I have a question.
Yep.
Just when you have a voting roll and you have people who own the house, we had a lot of sales recently during those 4 years, and a lot of people moved out to another address or to another state. They are still on a voting roll. How they can be removed? There shouldn't be any other rule than, they don't own the house, how they can vote using this address.
Well,
They should be removed automatically when the Department of Deed can provide the list of owners who sold the house.
it doesn't matter whether you own a house or not own a house, whether you can vote or not vote. So you can't use the house as the,
The house, this address, I'm not talking about.
no, I understand. What I'm just,
But no, they cannot use the same address. There are people who sold the house. They are just like, there is a third owner, and they are still on a voting roll.
so you're receiving mail? Is this happening to you personally?
No, I'm the real estate agent, and when I check houses for my clients, and I recently compared with the voting roll, and there are people who already sold the house 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they are still on a voting roll.
Sarah?
Do they rent in Monroe County?
No, I don't know if they rent, but they shouldn't use this address, for this house.
Oh, they're
They
using the
shouldn't,
address for
they
a house.
shouldn't vote under this address. They should vote under other address, but they should be removed from this.
Well, there's a certain process with voting, and they have to be inactive for 5 years and not have voted. If they don't notify us that they have moved,
Yeah,
we don't know, we don't get.
but, it should be the work, between the deed department and the voting registration. The house was sold. Like the same, you're removing the person who died. You don't wait 5 years.
No, we get notified on those.
Yeah, so the same deed department should notify.
It works, though, that's not the way it's written.
So we should think about this, to clean it, because people, they have registration in one state, another state. So if the person moved 5 times during those 5 years, in 5 states, they have registration in 5 states.
Shouldn't that be what the ERIC system's for and the change of address?
That's correct.
Yeah, we should have not only Pennsylvania, but
We also we do the post office, they notify us if anybody moves. I don't know.
I understand, but my question is just like sending to somebody confirming if this person is leaving.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, how people, they are honest, who sending back the card or not sending back the card, throwing away. You don't have the response.
Well, then they
You don't know.
become inactive then. If we send them something and it comes back to us, they become inactive.
But if somebody is throwing away, just like, I don't know, for example.
If they don't answer us in a certain time, they also become inactive.
Before I started voting, I didn't know that there is the kind of checking by sending postcards or, any mail to verify. I would throw away everything. And you would not know that this person is still
Right, but if they,
living there or not.
what's being said is that if they don't respond, then they also become inactive, which that means when they go to vote, they have to show proper identification
And fill
and
out
fill out an affirmation of a voter.
So do we think that the ERIC system and the change of address system, which is supposed to be used by ERIC, and the deceased list is supposed to be used by ERIC as well, do we think the ERIC system is accurate?
I would have to look into what she's talking about. I can't answer that.
But even.
But you can't go by deeds to say that somebody is struck off the voting rolls.
Yeah, I'm the recorder of deeds, and I can tell you, we don't know where they moved. So when
No,
somebody sells their house, I
I
don't
understand.
know that they moved.
I understand.
New York, they
I
could
can
move
give you
them.
the example. Recently, my client who bought the house, the owner was the wife of the owner of the house. She was registered to vote, but she moved to China half a year ago.
Well, but then
And
she can't
She
vote.
was still there, and he was still there, even he was there.
And that was what, a year ago?
No, this recently,
What voter,
yeah.
I would like to ask a question of the speaker. The people are registered at this address. Do you have any evidence that they voted from that address?
The recent vote, if they are registered under this address, you have to register when they registered recently. And if they were registered under this address and they voted after they sold the house,
How do you know they voted?
they have the registration.
Doesn't mean.
Registration is different than
Registered
voting.
and never voted.
we can check that, though, if you have their name, I could look it up, see if they voted.
Well, that's the,
But-
yeah,
We look at the voter roll to see the last
You
time.
have
they
the
voted.
ability to vote.
Last time they
they
voted.
do have the ability.
I'm not saying,
From
I'm
that
just saying it can be determined If it hasn't been. Yeah, I understand.
So just, we should think about making the change so everything would be easier for us. Because if you are even inactive, you still can vote.
Thank you.
I want a clarification of the law. I was under the impression the law was that after you move, you're still entitled to vote one more time from your old address.
That is
That's
correct.
accurate?
For how many days, Tom?
One
Is
more
that a
time.
certain amount of days? 30 days?
One more election.
One more election,
No.
one more election. Road.
We have the 30 days to registration, so maybe 30 days.
Is that it for discussion? It's just, this lady was. Please state your name, please.
My name is Joan McKinsey, and I am the judge of elections for Polk Township, and I'm having a couple of issues that I need help with.
Sure.
Number one, I don't have a constable, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. And Polk gets hammered at the elections. I think it was that wasn't this last one, probably 3 ago. We were averaging 200 people an hour. And so, we have more staff this time, but I need the constable. So that's number one. Number two is I do have someone who's coming in to be a poll watcher who is giving me fits and violates just about every rule that the poll watchers are supposed to be under. He has passed information to my machine operators. He stops people on the way out and on the way in. He has actually grabbed my tally sheets at the end of the night and walked them across the room. He's upsetting to me because I lose my mind. And he's upsetting to my other poll workers because they're all senior citizens and they see him getting away with all this. And I don't know how to deal with that either. I did call last time and they said if he does it again, throw him out. But I know he's very active, and then he goes out and starts telling people that I'm, not that I care, but that I'm being horrible to him, which just gets everybody all more worked up outside. So I would appreciate it if he was no longer allowed to be a poll watcher in Polk Township. I don't know if that's possible. I don't care if he goes anywhere else because he won't have the same audience that he has in Polk.
I did address this with the one party that this particular gentleman watches for, and they were going to take care of it.
Okay.
Party chair is here, I don't know. I don't think you were party chair then.
Correct. Yeah, and it hasn't been brought to my attention precisely what has happened
Okay.
to merit his removal.
I can send you that because you were not the party chair then, so.
Well, Sarah will forward that to the party chair and we'll see what we can do for you.
Okay.
If you ever have problems, please contact the office.
I did, and I contacted as things were happening.
Right.
I
And
kept calling, and it's a tough call whether or not to make him leave because
Right.
I know that can exacerbate the situation.
Penny has people that are circling the area. Okay?
Can we do anything on the constable?
No,
But my other,
No.
yeah.
the constable, we
We have no power.
We don't have the power, and someone would have to be appointed because the other constable resigned.
I had seen someplace where the township, the commission, the
Supervisor?
supervisors, is that true that they can appoint somebody?
It has to go through the court,
What court?
Monmouth County Courthouse.
Convoluted process. Penny knows about the process. It's a pretty convoluted process.
Yeah, they have to go through
Yeah.
the courts to
I
get
discussed
appointed.
it.
I'll be honest, I am really scared. We've had problems in the past at Polk, with, people getting chased to their cars and things like that. And I'm very nervous. I'm very, very nervous. And I've already gone in, turning on the switch this time, like one toe out of line and you're out of here. But I don't know what else to do, but is this question for me?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, it is. I'm Janet Dooner from Polk Township. I was a poll watcher at the last 3 elections or 2 elections in Polk Township. And most of the story that I've seen that you've said, I understand your perspective and some of that, but most of it was addressed. And there were issues that because we had brought them to our Board of Elections because of things that happened with someone being a poll watcher who happened to be at the closing of the breakdown of the poll, when a poll watcher should not be doing poll work duties because they're all separate duties. So as far as the person who is poll watching, we were there. We were there at times. We were at the closing. You know, there were 3 poll watchers representing different candidates inside of that room to know what was going on. We respectfully always stepped back if there was a question. We always stepped back from you if you had a question. I was there to witness it. So I'm not
Yes.
saying that you have fear. I'm not saying you have fear. I'm sorry that you have fear. But we know there was a constable up until this last election, so the constable was there. The problem was we had a poll worker or poll watcher performing poll worker duties who should not have been in there.
These were 2 separate issues. The poll worker person, no, it did not help at the last election. But
It was
the-
there again, Joan. I was there again at this last one. We
Yes,
shouldn't
and
have
he did
this
not
argument.
help because I had an extra person who worked
We
with it.
understand that because
he
our
did
Board
not-
of Elections office took care of the problem.
Yeah, you're awesome. But if you could also get this guy under control, because one of the things where he grabbed all of the strips and walked them across the room to me, you were not there. And that to me was the biggest. He was touching things. He comes in with this expected privilege. I don't know where it's coming from. And I will say, the first 2 elections, I had no problems with him. But these last few, he's out of control.
There's only been poll workers for the last, I think, 3 election cycles.
There's been poll workers forever.
Watchers, I'm sorry, watchers. There's
There's
only
been poll watchers since I've been doing this, including this gentleman.
The law did
So-
not allow that as of recently until certain parties were allowed to have poll watchers.
No.
That's not true at all.
In any case, if there's a way for me to get a constable, I really want one.
You have a candidate?
I've been asked this, and not in jest, I've been asked several times, well, have somebody? I don't know that many 30, 40-year-old tall men that I would trust. If you're free, I'll take you. Sorry.
Oh, somebody else had a question?
Yes, well, in general, if a constable cannot be provided, is there an alternative way, someone else she can call? Or no?
No,
Well, the police.
no, police are not
I
allowed.
can only call the police if
Unless
something
last resort.
happens, otherwise it's voter intimidation.
Correct.
I can't do that.
I was told by a constable that there might be more chances of people wanting to be constables or deputies if the county would pay for the insurance. Because I know the insurance for the year is close to $600, but they do prorate it.
Thank you.
They don't have to have insurance for election day.
That's only for court work.
Only for court work.
So then if something goes wrong, there's a constable or deputy constable there without insurance, then they're liable.
They're an elected official. And they're working for us, getting paid for the day.
So if something happens, who pays? if
Covered by
something
the
happens?
county.
Covered by the county. If they're only doing election day work.
You're covered by the county.
Correct.
Where's that written? Can you let me know, or I'll find out? 'Cause
Yes.
I'll relate this to a constable.
Thank you. Who's next? Yes, sir.
Tom Geffers from Barrett Township. Quick question for Sarah. If you're watching the news, talking heads are saying that elections start in Pennsylvania early. They throw out the date of September 15th for the last couple of
16th,
months.
yes. I know, it's great.
And you're cleaning up the ballots, as you just said. What is your best guess as to when the ballots would go out? If you had to give a date today,
We've been saying the beginning of October, the first week.
that's it?
Tom, I have to wait for these judges
I
to make a
understand.
decision.
I understand. I'm just saying, people are always asking when am
I know.
You know, when am I gonna get my ballot?
I know, I get them, 50 emails every day about it.
Early October.
We did ask the Department of State, a group of us yesterday, to please put something out that voting, early voting just starts September 16th in Pennsylvania. Like,
Never has.
people do not understand, you know, and they think they can come in and vote on a machine or go somewhere. They don't understand early voting in Pennsylvania is a mail-in ballot. They still have to apply. So we did ask the Department of State. They said tomorrow, a press release should come out.
Because people, who follow politics, we understand that. But if you're meeting people at the Stroud Fest or whatever,
Right,
they're totally confused as to when they're gonna get their ballot.
right.
That's a good answer, early October, I can live with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It might be sooner, but I have to wait to get my certified candidates from the state.
Who's next? Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Matt Long. I live in Pocono Township. I'm here to discuss what I had emailed to you commissioners and to Sarah and Penny. I'm not sure if you got a chance to read it. If not, I'm happy to kind of reiterate my thesis there. But basically, for everyone else who did not read the email, I'm very concerned about a location in my district. I'm a candidate for state representative, and there's a location that violates election code. It's black and white. I sent you guys the relevant passage. No polling location can be in a building that shares an office with the candidate or with an elected official. So I'm curious.
Well, that means that you wouldn't be able to vote in a township building, correct? That's the office of the township supervisor. We wouldn't be able to have elections held here in this office because we have 3 polling places here, and it's our office, and it's also, other elected officials' offices.
So what I would say is,
So
I
when
think
you read it,
the main reason this specific location is an issue is because there's a pattern of behavior with a certain candidate, elected official, who has violated election code in other ways as well, bringing food and drink to workers. I know you guys are all aware of this. So, look, I think it's pretty simple. You have a candidate and an official who has a disregard for the election code and has acted in behavior that constitutes bribery, according to some people I've talked to, and I've talked to lawyers.
no, I understand.
And so I think it's important that, we understand the reason this is in the election code is for instances like this, when you have a candidate or an official who kind of uses her office as an excuse for being in the polling location on election day for hours. So she, I'm walking to a meeting, I'm walking from a meeting, I'm, buying pizza for the poll worker. I mean, this shouldn't be allowed. And, I think we need to change that polling location immediately, and it needs to be done before this election.
Well, unfortunately, there is no place to move it.
I spoke to the community church up there. They were willing. I found a place a year ago when this was a problem. There's a place.
Well, wait a second here, 1 second.
I will first just say that I think that what was just stated was that the election code provides that a polling place cannot share a location with an office, and that's not what the statute says. The statute says, because words when it comes to statutes are important.
So I sent the words.
Did you get
my email back?
Yes, I did, and I'm gonna go over the words. It says, an office, building, or private residence of an elected official. The polling location, can I finish? The polling location is not her office. It's not in her office.
It's in the same building as her office.
But it's not her office.
That's not what that says, though. It doesn't say
It says
it shares an
It's office, building, or private residence.
of an elected official,
Yeah.
or, and there's another provision that says of a person running for.
So the building.
Hold on a
Can
second.
you,
Office or private residence.
excuse me, I gave you time to respond. Can you let me finish my response, then you can question after that? I think you have to break down the statute, the provision. It says, so
they talk about an office, a building, or a private residence of an elected official. The polling location is not her office. Her office is located within a public building. The building, it is not a building of an elected official. It is not her building. It's not Representative Madden's building. A private residence of an elected official. It is not her private residence. It is a public building or owned by Head Start in which she rents space. Now, the other complaints about what she has done and whether those actions have violated the election code are a separate matter. And it's my understanding that they were previously referred to the district attorney's office as to whether other complaints regarding her actions violated the election code. And I will also point out the complaints regarding her actions were not simply at that voting location. It was at other voting locations. So it's not a problem based upon where her office is located in correspondence to the voting location. It seems to be a problem with what her actions may or may not be. I'm not voicing an opinion whether they actually occurred or not. And so, one, I don't think the location violates election code because those things are not her structures. They don't belong to her. Her office is located within a public building. The election board does then take avenues or precautions to try to minimize any effects. One, her sign is covered up on the main signage for that building. Two, the sign on her door is covered up. And three, the entrance to the voting location is not the entrance that would be the same entrance to the building for her office. It is in the gymnasium, a separate entrance.
But she still uses those entrances to get to her office.
She will not utilize the entrance through the voting area.
Is that, we have her word on that?
Yeah.
We're just going with that?
I have somebody that's gonna tie her up if she does anything like that.
The problem is that the elections are, on election day, the office is closed. It is per caucus policy.
Then why has she been in there?
I'm not gonna play games. I'm just saying that the office will be closed.
Then why has she been in there on election days?
Why don't you ask her?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you are closer to her than I am.
Matt, you have a question?
I'm here in my official capacity today.
Yeah.
Capacity.
Oh, I have a question.
But
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on a second. Please continue. And then we're gonna go into the 3-minute rule shortly because we gotta wrap this up because we have a lot of people that wanna talk, okay? So please.
Well, I'm reiterating.
I understand your point. What I've said is that we're going to have the polling place there, okay? Because it fits the law. It does. Our attorney has stated that it does. It is a large area that services the number of people that go there, okay? Unless the other commissioners want to say no, I am saying, if you want to take it to a vote, we can, but I'm saying it's going to be held there, okay? It's been held there in the past. It'll continue to be held there in the future. We can, because it has the facilities that we need, okay? With regard to anything else, I think that we've kind of answered we're taking steps. We have taken steps in the past, and we will make sure that there's not a problem. Is there anything else?
If I can take it to a vote, I would love for you guys to be on record on this. Yes.
I second that.
Well,
Well, he mentioned that. I didn't know that was possible, but I mean, if it is, I think you guys should be on record on this because
we are on record of it.
Commissioner Chris, you're welcome to put it on a future agenda, but because it's not on this agenda, the Sunshine Law requires anything to be taken official action to be on the agenda, so there couldn't be a vote taken today on that matter, but if you wanted to, you could put it on a future agenda.
That would be great.
Are you done, sir?
Do you want me to answer any of the questions there was a couple questions, I guess? It's up to you.
I think.
Can I just make a comment? I've been a poll watcher for years, and Mario Scavello always used to bring food to all the polls. And I had other
Doesn't make it
candidates
right.
bring it too.
Bagels.
Well,
I
no one ever
understand. I understand. One wrong does not
Yeah.
allow the everything.
Watchers and
But it
greeters,
was
not poll
excused.
workers.
Oh, yes, it was.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
You have a question for?
Ms. Sean, I just want to ask you, have you looked into whether these untrue accusations about state representative was ever addressed? at a higher level?
So I've heard from people that it
All
was.
right, no, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, did you investigate to see if that happened? Because I'm gonna be very honest, the accusations you made here today.
So
are
somebody sent me a
May I
complaint.
finish? May I finish,
Oh,
please?
thank you.
Thank you. The accusations you made here today have, I believe, have been addressed on a different level. So instead of you continuing to rehash these untruths, perhaps you should look into that first.
Well, so
I'm just suggesting that you do that before you stand there.
can I
and-
respond?
Can I finish? Do you mind? I think with you standing there making these untruth accusations,
Who says they're
perhaps
untrue?
you should, I'm sorry, but I'm speaking.
Oh,
Perhaps you should
Untruths.
find out on a different level what has been addressed in this matter. But it has been, and you continue to rehash it. Perhaps you should find something else that you think she may have done.
All right,
So I was sent a complaint from someone who is there and witnessed the behavior. And I
When?
spoke to another,
When?
it was this past election, 2022, the primary, May. There was a complaint filed. It went to the DA's office. So I have investigated it. I have spoken to people who are there and witnessed this behavior, which is not allowed by election code. And I don't care if Mario Escobedo did it before. I don't care if she's Democrat, Republican, Independent,
Yes, you
Socialist
do.
Party.
Of course you do.
I do not.
Yeah.
Well,
All right,
Okay.
all right.
thank you.
Can I just want to make a comment about public comment going forward in this meeting?
Because we're gonna go.
It's public comment from you to the Board of Election, and the Board of
Not back and
Election,
forth.
what?
I said not back and forth.
Right,
Thank you.
and they can respond if they would like, or they can ask me to respond, but it's not a conversation between the person speaking and everybody else who's present. If you have a comment regarding what the person said, you can come up and make a public comment as well, but it's not a conversation back and forth.
Thank you. Teresa,
So my public statement is not a comment. It comes out of the election law, and it is on page 31 of 270 of the election code. And it's under, I said this at the last commissioner meeting. What is it? I can't, section 529.1. For number 7, it says an office, comma, building or private residence of an elected official. It doesn't say the elected official has to own the building.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Building of an elected official.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Janet Junior from Polk Township again, just because very quickly, regarding the poll watcher at Polk Township, the behavior, it sounds like the behavior of that poll watcher must have been 3 election cycles ago, because at the last 2 election cycles, if I was in the room at the end of the closing and the tapes were not garnered by that poll watcher, then I think that from the Board of Elections office to the last county chair, the matter was handled by the behavior, the matter of that poll watcher's behaviors were addressed. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question about the questions that I had at the commissioner meeting about the security cameras. Well, how should the people of the county address the questions that I asked at the county commissioner meeting?
Why don't you address them to this board as opposed to the commissioners, because this is an election board meeting?
Well, because the commissioner signed all the documents for the cameras.
Correct.
And so that's why I brought up to the county commissioners, because you are all the end all of the equipment. So, okay, here we go again. So my statement at the county commissioner meeting was, part of the statement was addressing the security cameras at the ballot drop boxes. So the state took control once again. So once again, the county is more in the back pocket of the state. And there's a list of counties that the state decided to do this for or with, or however you want to say it. So my right to know back in July, one of my sentences was to include who's going to keep track of the software and the hardware, who's going to watch what's going on. And one of the replies back within my right to know was the county IT department would be responsible for implementation and maintenance of this project. Also, this project would be funded entirely through the election integrity grant the county received. Hence, we're more in the pocket of the state. Along with the right to know, Mr. Christine sent me information So this is each ballot drop box that are at the 7 locations throughout the county. The cameras are equipped with rugged SSD, which enables local storage and video footage. This eliminates the need for external recording servers. I'm sure this is the organization who, Linear Security Group, I'm sure this is their verbiage, not Mr. Christie. I'm pretty sure it's their verbiage, not Mr. Christine's. Moving on, the cameras come with software pre-installed for remote access, remote monitoring management, ensuring selected personnel can oversee the ballot drop boxes from any location. So there's more questions, but one of the main questions that I've asked before back in July is who's going to be monitoring the cameras?
The cameras are there to make sure that should there anything happen to the drop boxes, that we would have it recorded. Should somebody try to damage the drop box, the fact that that's what the cameras are there for, to protect the drop boxes.
So they're not there for the integrity of the election to make sure people aren't putting in more than one ballot?
They are there. I can't see who was putting in the ballots.
So who will be watching the video?
They will be members of the sworn-in election board members, that are part of the election, and therefore will get the credentials to be able to view, should there have to be a need to view the cameras. So in other words, they will be members of the election board.
Members of the election board are watching the cameras for the ballot boxes.
Correct.
And then who's in charge of the software and the hardware if something goes down? Or say if a camera goes down and it's election day, how is the county
IT
notified?
department that is there. Don't forget that we also, should there be a problem, we have the ability to utilize the cameras at the libraries also, but we did this for a standalone project that are county cameras. So if there is a problem such as that, then we would have a backup by utilizing a camera at a library. But they do not have the retention required. Thank you. Yes.
Janet Junior, Polk Township, regarding the cameras that are at the libraries and is there an alert if the camera goes down? Is there an alert to the Board of Elections office that does the software provide an alert?
No.
So a camera could go down unless it's being viewed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes.
Janet Smith, Jackson Township. Has there been any result from the Ms. Labrador's situation that went to the Attorney General's office?
It was found that there was no, from the Attorney General's office at the, I'm sorry.
Oh,
It was addressed to you guys, correct?
okay, yeah. Mike Mancuso, District Attorney. My predecessor, Dave Christine, one of his last acts as DA was to refer the investigation matter into Commissioner Labrador's allegations against her to the Attorney General's office. Last week, I did receive notification from the Deputy AG in charge of the investigation, who indicated after their review and investigation, they found insufficient evidence to warrant the filing of any criminal charges. So that was the extent of my office's involvement. I thought that was important to communicate that to my fellow Americans, so we're all on the same page. That process was taken by Mr. Christine, and I think it was a smart call to get it to a neutral third-party agency, and their investigation is concluded. And also, did Mr. Tippett, ma'am, from Polk Township?
Yes.
Did Mr. Tippett step down?
He resigned.
He did, okay. So we are looking into a replacement constable, but it takes several months. We're going to have to ask Judge Mark to expedite the process, so hopefully I'll have a candidate. Thank you.
He's free.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir?
Pete Begley, Smithfield Township. First of all, I appreciate what you're doing. It's a thankless task, a lot of hours. We're grateful, even though we argue with you. How many drop boxes are there all told?
7, 6, 6, right,
6.
5 out, 1 here.
I thought I heard 7, yeah. So 6. The allegation that happened that our district attorney just mentioned, is there any reason we just don't eliminate that drop box and
Sure.
I didn't spike it. Eliminate that drop box and just go with the one that is in voter registration office. It's in the same physical building. It's certainly monitored better.
Just to be clear, there are 7 boxes, 6 locations other than here.
I
So
see.
there's 6 out there and 1 here, so a total of 7 boxes.
Where's the 7th one?
There's 6
Here.
at the library, 1 downstairs.
6 libraries, 1 here.
Correct.
So the one that is, there's only one in your office, Sarah?
No, the one up front, the one that you said was an issue, the
The
one by
mailbox one out by the security office.
Right.
But then we have a small one in our office.
That would technically
That's
be
2. Oh, okay. So 4 libraries? you said?
No.
6. So there's 8 drop boxes. It keeps growing.
No.
No,
The office isn't really counted as a drop box.
The office, we could remove that one, because to be honest with you, it's a disruption into the office. Everybody is where's the drop box? They can't find it. We use the one on the wall. It's too small. It has to be empty constantly. That's why we put the other one in the hallway.
And so now we have all these new cameras monitoring them. And what did the county spend on that hardware and software? Was it about 80,000?
No. No. I'd have to double check and get back to you, but I think it was paid out of the grant. I think it was $16,000.
Yeah, well, grants are taxpayer money. Yeah, there's no such thing as
Well,
free money.
it's money that the state gives us to be able to hold our elections.
Right. So, so the drop boxes came to be because of the China flu, and that's a thing of the past, but we're keeping the drop boxes and 7-week elections and all that, right?
Is there a point to this, Pete?
Well, I'd like to get rid of the drop boxes. The original reason is no longer valid, and you have the power to do that. You can't push it off to the state or another agency. It's in your power. And the alleged crime that took place was at one of those drop boxes, and to allay the fears of the public, I think it would be a sign of integrity to just get rid of them.
Thank you.
And the last thing I would say is that there was another place found to hold elections in Coolbar. I made a lot of phone calls trying to find it, and did find a place and spoke to the church. They were willing to hold elections. I think they had in the past there.
That's correct.
So-
But the voters complained it was too far.
Yeah, well,
Thank you, Pete. Your
I
time.
just wanted to
Correct the record. Thank you.
Anybody else? Is there anybody online, Carolyn?
No.
No? Is there a motion? We are adjourned. Thank you.